life intrudes. And now I have a choice about what I'm going to do about it. And what I'm going to do about it is embrace the fact that life intrudes. No matter what excellent plan I have, with beautiful attention to detail, life intrudes. And then I have the freedom to choose what meaning I'm going to make of it, and then what am I going to do about it? And that is where the essential human freedom rests. The choice in how to respond. And that means also the choice, and this takes increased awareness, of the meaning that I make about events. That events come and then the individual ascribes meaning. And that meaning of that event has a lot more to do with who the individual is in that moment than in the event itself. I saw on the news that Trump got infected with the coronavirus. And I was aware of how unsettled that made me. And so I wrote down right then what it was that I was experiencing before I had time to process any of it. And I was experiencing appreciation for the irony that he would be infected. Whew. It seemed like Shakespeare, like a Shakespeare play. And then I was aware I was feeling sadness that he was a human being that has gotten very sick now. And it brought to mind the over 200,000 human beings in our country that have died from this virus, and the over 7 million that have gotten infected, and some of them desperately sick. And so I felt sadness as all of that got stirred up. And then I felt disgust. I felt disgust at the hubris. And then I was aware of feeling relief. And it was a relief from the validation of science. And it was relief that hubris had been humbled. Now, I'm also sorry for him. I feel sorry for him. And so that's good. I feel good about that. That's one of my values. Be nice, have compassion for people. Try to be understanding. The part of me that felt relief that the hubris had been humbled, I'm working on that part, because I don't think that's in line with my own personal values, and I don't think it's good for me. I am reading a wonderful book, Begin Again, by Dr. Eddie Glaude. It's about James Baldwin. And the title comes from one of Baldwin's, he quotes him, he says, Baldwin says, quote, "Not everything is lost. Responsibility cannot be lost. It can only be abdicated. If one refuses abdication, one begins again." I want to read something to you from this book that I thought of when I was aware with my complex feelings of feeling sorry for Trump being sick, but also feeling a relief that hubris had been humbled. So this is what Dr. Glaude writes about Baldwin. He says, this is in relation to, this is related to Baldwin about writing about King being murdered. Baldwin was not naive about the human capacity for evil. He knew intimately what it meant to be vulnerable to the whims of others who held a certain kind of power over you. Instead, what shocked him was the fact that a white American killed King, someone who espoused love, an apostle of nonviolence. King's death revealed to Baldwin the depths of some people's debasement and the scope of our peril. Baldwin wrote of King's murder and the funeral. Quote, perhaps even more than the death of King itself. The manner of his death has forced me into a judgment concerning human life and human beings, which I have always been reluctant to make. Alas, most people are not, in action, worth very much. And yet, every human being is an unprecedented miracle. One tries to treat them as the miracles they are, while trying to protect oneself against the disasters they've become. I thought about not reading this. I thought, ooh, that's kind of harsh. And yet, that is true for me, that there is a struggle in me. It is a rebellion, it's an internal rebellion, where part of me wants to, in the face of such hubris and degradation of other people and their rights to life, that part of me just wants to just cuss them out and show no compassion. And then another part of me, and this is the struggle, another part of me understands that they are so wounded, they are so tragically wounded people, or they wouldn't act like that. And that is true for me. Now, that may not be true for you. And it is essential that you respect what is true for you as it shifts and changes, as your circumstances change, as your state of being changes, and as your perspective changes.